Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. So this time I'm gonna try to show you how I do my FastPacks. So how I'm gonna create a Montmolar FastPack from scratch, or rather from the individual parts already cut out and prepared, so to say. So the plan is that you will be able to purchase the pattern itself to a sub-provider, to a guy I met on Reddit probably, and once you have these you can cut out all the fabrics you need, all the pieces, and I'm gonna show you how you put it together to create your own Montmolar FastPack the way you like it. Okay guys, so one of the first things I usually do is connect both side panels with each other. It's pretty easy, straightforward. So you just lay them over each other, the outside facing each other, stitch over it, and then flap the overlay to one side and stitch over it again. So this creates a really strong bottom portion, and yeah, will be your base to start from. So the next thing I'm gonna sew onto the side parts is the bottom pocket, and the way I usually do this is align the center portion and stitch beginning from the center portion all the way up and then down, and this makes for a pretty clean and even fit of the stretch, and it's a scheme of sewing that I will continue throughout the pack in order to always align the edges properly. So that's what you're gonna do next. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is attach your side pockets, and you want to sew it in a way that the lower corner is facing the opposite way. So you want to sew it onto the fabric the wrong way up basically, and then fold it over and then stitch the sides onto the fabric. So pretty easy and straightforward. Okay, so another essential part you want to add to the side of your pack is your retention strap, or sort of retention system, because there are many options you can do this. I personally like to use with a bungee cord and some sort of cord lock. There are also a sheer endless amount of possibilities, and yeah, so you can do it with buckles, you can do it with cord locks and some bungee, you can do it like in a whole different area of ways. I choose to do it this simple and minimalist way, and this works really fine for me. Don't make it too short, because you want to get maybe something bigger beneath here, and so to have the option, just put it roughly halfway from your pocket to the top portion, and this will work pretty fine. Okay guys, so one of the next things you want to do is attach the main mesh compartment to the front side of the pack. And as before, I always mark the middle position, start from there, going one side, the other side, trying to finish up nicely on top with everything even. And as you can see here, I've added a little bit of bar tacking and a little pull tab on the mesh up top, just to make it easier to get into. And also you can use this one for another top closure system I'm going to show you later. Once you've added the mesh itself, it's time to add some minor parts like the ice axe loop, the bungee cord lock, and also the like little loops for the bungee to go through. So just take your time, sew them on and stitch them down, and that's the main part basically prepared. Okay guys, so with the upper portion of the back panel of the main back, you want to do pretty nothing fancy, just add your closures, your buckles pretty much, add them like so, facing inwards. Also the other one, always keeping in mind which one is which, and also attach the Velcro strap atop, or your cam snaps if you want. I like to use this Omni tape Velcro since the last few packs, because it just is a really nice and clean option and makes it easier for you, because you don't need the plastic stay atop, because this works as a stiffener for the roll top itself. Okay guys, so once you have finished adding everything to your side parts, so don't forget your thin straps for the top closure, you want to attach your side parts and the whole unit basically to the front part. So as before, you want to put it facing the outside fabrics together, stitch it down, and I personally like to run down at least once or twice the length of the whole seam, just to make sure it's really bomber and it is really connected well. Okay guys, so the back panel itself is pretty straightforward. On the outside you want to add your 4 loops for the retention system for your foam mattress, or sort of external padding, so to speak. Also my logo, of course, and on the inside you can, if you wish to, add a tiny little pouch. I do like this for some small items you don't want to get lost, like your first aid kit or your keys or something. There are many different options you can do this. So this one I did like really rudimentary or basic with just a little open flap design pretty much, but I've done some with a zipper. Okay guys, so this is how you do the inner pocket. Basically you have your piece of fabric. This one is Monolite in my case, and you just sew it onto your zipper like we did before with the stretch inner pockets, and you sew it on wrong side down rather, and then you can easily do another sew over the top in order to secure it and to make it look really nice. And then next thing you will do is just get this part sort of like this. So you wanna have the zipper in like the upper third, and then run down the sides of it and insert the zipper pulley, of course, and then turn it inside out once you've finished, which makes a really clean and nice pouch. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do this, and then I'll show you how it looks finished. Okay, so this is how it all should look like once you've finished with the sewing. So I personally like to do a few stitches over the sides, especially over the zipper part, in order to really get it secure. And then you just have to open the zipper, which is kind of tricky with one hand, but it works. Turn this whole thing inside out. So yeah, that's what you want to do with the back part, and other than that you are pretty much finished with the outside compartments of the bag. Now you're gonna have to start making the vest straps, or the harness system, so to speak. And once you've done that, you can put it all together to form your final bag. So in this next part we're gonna go over the construction of the shoulder straps and the running vest style strap system in general. So you've got your base parts ready, all cut out, and first thing will be to connect these parts to get your basic harness, so to say. And the important thing is that you will link the part that will go towards your body, so the inside, in a way that there is no ugly seam that will that could pinch you. So you want to sew it with those inside parts together, just simply sew over, and that's how you get an easy, smooth facing surface. And of course you want to think about how you lay these out, that you actually get those the correct way facing each other. And that's the first thing you want to do. So I just basically stitch right over it. Always make sure to secure the first stitches by going back a little. So just start, go back a little, and then finish your seam. Always also make sure it's properly aligned, of course. And I personally like to use stitches that are closer together, just to really cinch down the fabrics I'm connecting. And as mentioned before, just finish off your stitch by going back over it a little bit on the end, so it's all secured. So that's what you want to do with the pack, and as mentioned before, it will create a nice edge that will face your body without irritating it. Okay, so the next thing I personally like to do is attach some small retention points that we'll need later on. I do it now because it's way easier to have this done up front and not have to hassle with it once the pockets are on. So you basically, for my design at least, want to put a small retention cord. This can be some grosgrain ribbon on your right pocket. So this is the strap that's on your right side, and you want to put it on the side facing outwards, of course. So there will be a pocket over here, and you can attach a whistle, for example, on this one. Just stitch over it. It's just a small piece of grosgrain. And also I'm always putting on the carry handle, and this one's gonna be on the bottom side, so not up front, but on the side that will be facing your body. So it's neatly hidden and you can easily use it from below. Yeah, that's what you want to do. This one is just also a simple piece of grosgrain. Don't make it too short, don't make it too long. I basically want to sort of use the full width of the strap, and that's a nice big handle after all. Alright guys, so next up we're gonna do the lower stretch pockets that are on the running vest straps. So I've got my cutout stretch pieces here, also my zipper. So you can use every zipper you want. This one is a YKK 3C coil zipper, but I also used a special flat zipper in the past, which is just a little bit more low profile. Or I've also gone ahead and used this one, which is called YKK 0EF zipper. So whichever you choose, it pretty much doesn't matter at all. Obviously the 3C is just a viable option and the most easy to get, so I'm gonna use this one for this particular bag. So the thing with these lower stretch pockets is that you wanna really take care when sewing it up, because you always have to remember there are two sides of them. So you have the one on the right side, and you have like really the opposite side, which is exactly the same, but yeah, it's mirrored. So take care when doing this. And when you want to sew the zipper onto it, you want to first lay one side with the zipper part facing downwards on the fabric, sew it on, then fold it over and sew on a second time. I'm going to show you this in action right now, but just for the theory of it, so you can hide away the fabric side nice and smoothly. And yeah, that's pretty much what you've got to do with these parts. So as I said before, you want to sew it on with the zipper facing downwards, and this makes when you now roll it over for a nice clean look. And I for one always sew over this one again, just to cinch it really tightly down and make it look even nicer. So that's what I'm going to do next. Okay, so there you go. When you've done it correctly, you get a real nice looking hem, which is tightly onto the zipper and just looks clean and nice. And that's what we're gonna do from the other side as well. Okay, so once you have finished those two lower mesh stretch pockets, you will now have to sew them onto your carrier, so onto your harness basically. I do recommend that you start on the part that will later go to the backpack and go this side forward, this way around, this way and down, and leave this part, like the lower part of your zipper, open for now, because you want to insert your zipper pulley from down below here, and it's way easier to do this once you've sewn everything up, instead of just putting it in right now and then sewing it onto the strap. So keep that in mind. Okay guys, so once you've sewn those pockets onto your straps, you have some excess on the bottom here, and as I mentioned before, you leave this part open for now in order to get your zipper pulleys onto the zipper. So the way you do this is you open the zipper like so, and then you slide your zipper pulley on this zipper. So this is pretty hard to do on camera, but just basically get this one on here. I will have to redo this, but just so you get an idea, you know, you put this on here and slide it all the way up, and then close the gap with another set of stitches, and then you can remove all the excess you have down here, and obviously you will do the same thing on the opposite side. Okay, and so this is what it will look like once you've installed your zipper and closed the lower gap, as well as remove the excess. So you have your zipper pulley in here now. You can easily pull it upwards and downwards. And I personally would recommend you to leave it in the middle like so, because it makes it easier for you to sew on the stretch pockets that will go above this pocket. So just leave it like this for now. Okay, so next thing you want to do is prepare the top, or rather the upper mesh stretch pockets. And the way you do this is you will sew the upper end onto an elastic piece of fabric, a 10mm piece of fabric, in a zigzag stitch. So the zigzag stitch makes it possible for this fabric and for this elastic to still stretch under tension, but remain sturdy in general. So that's what you will do for all the upper pockets now. And always remember to stitch back the end parts so it is really tight onto the fabric. Okay guys, so once you've finished preparing your upper mesh parts, you want to now begin sewing it onto the vest harness, obviously. And you will start with the lower upper pockets, so to speak. So for example, this one will be the little elastic pocket on the right side in my design, and the same will be on this side, but with a zipper on this part. So just instead of attaching the elastic, you want to attach a zipper to this side and to this stretch. But you could also like change it up to do 2 zippered ones or to do 2 elastic ones. So it's all up to you basically. And the way you want to attach this is you want to have this part folded under to make a really clean edge. And also you don't want to just sew it up here like so, but rather sew it onto the fabric upside down over the raw edge we have from the hem of the harness itself. So you want to sew it like so, and then fold this one down in order to achieve a really clean look on the finished vest. Okay, so this is basically how you want to have this finished. So as I said before, you have this pretty clean edge up top, which is folded over, stitched over again to secure it down. This nicely hides the inner hem and also gives this good structure. And then you have it sewn all the way down to your lower bottom. There may be some excess here which you can easily just remove. I always opt to get a clean line right here, because this makes it also look better from the below. And other than that, you can now begin adding the bottle pockets, pretty much the water bottle pockets up top, and the upper stretch pocket on the lower part, and also of course do the whole thing on the second strap with your zipper pouch, or alternatively another one of those stretch pockets, whichever way you like it. I will now continue with the water bottle pocket. So this is basically it, also prepared with an elastic. And the way you want to do this one is pretty similar. You want to sew this one on upside down, and you want to create a crease down here, because as you see, this one is way longer than the strap width, and that is because you want to have a real good stretch in this to accommodate for your bottles. And that's why you want to take this fabric, fold it like so to create a crease right here, sew it on, then fold it over once again, so the sides upwards. You could also sew over here, but I personally choose to let this one like so, because it makes for a cleaner look right there. And atop, you always wanna fold this one over at least once, maybe twice, depending on the width you cut, and then sew it onto the sides starting from the bottom, pretty much. So you want to sew, once you've done it like this, folded it over, you want to sew it onto the strap, beginning from the bottom upwards, ending at your elastic at top, and really securing the elastic, because there will be a lot of tension on this point because of the bottles, obviously. So you want to really stitch over this a few times to secure it down. Also, because you are now adding the bottle pockets, one thing you want to do beforehand is actually add this little piece of shock cord onto this seam right here. And this shock cord will be your bottle retention strap, basically. So it's a 20 centimeter piece of shock cord with a little knot, just a simple overhand knot at top. And I personally choose to just sew it on like this down here, pretty much. And you could also first sew it into a piece of fabric and then sew it onto this, but I personally didn't find all too much difference in just sewing it like so. You have to take care in order to really pin this one down with a nice row of stitching, but you can just do it like this, and it's a lot easier instead of putting a piece of fabric around it beforehand. Yeah, so keep in mind to do this, because this will be hidden below the bottle pocket afterwards, and yeah, just looks nicer this way. Okay guys, so I just sewed on the parts of the left panel, or the left carrier, so to speak. So as you can see, if you want to do a zipper on that side, you basically sew in the zipper just like you did on the lower portion pockets to make a nice clean hem on there, and then you sew it without any hem to the side of the panel and cut off all the excess. So this is a little bit tricky because it won't fit perfectly and is always a bit tricky with the grease that will fold atop here, because you will also fold this one from the back side down to have this one really neat. But it's doable. You will get it to work. And also it doesn't matter how sort of ugly this edge will be, because you will always use edge binding atop, and this will seal this one off neatly after all. Then I also added the bottle pocket right here, and as I said before, you sew it on with this bottom part first, folding the grease right here, flipping it upside down, and then sewing on the edges from the bottom to the top, and reinforcing this part on both sides because it is the one with the most stress on it, right? And don't forget to fold the upper portion with the elastic once and another time, so you get an easy and clean interface on top. And then for the last pocket, the lower outer pocket, this one is also kinda easy. You just begin at the back part. So just show you on this one, you will take your elastic, which will go on like this, and you can see it's a little bit longer on the back part. That's because you will sew this one also facing the opposite way. Sew it once, flip it over, and whilst flipping over, you don't pull this one all the way to the seam, but rather leave a bit of excess fabric right here in order to get this aligned on the front. And what that does is two things. For one, you will extend the bottom of this pocket a little farther or a little further than the hem below is, which makes the pocket a little bit larger and also hides the sewing underneath. And also this works to fold the fabric over and create this nice space where you can hide something below. For example, on one or some packs of mine have an adjustment right on this part where you can cinch this part tighter. I will show you this one later, but this can be hidden just below this part. So to show you this on the finished one, you have this little fold right here, and here you can hide, which I said before, the adjustment if you want to use this this feature basically of the pad of the straps, which is one I will show you later. But yeah, just like that, sew it on, and as before, fold the elastic once, twice, and another time. So you have 3 times, which makes for a really strong edge on this pocket. Always reinforce the stitches on these parts, and then just sew it from I personally start with the upper one, just align it with the zipper and then sew it down to get the right dimensions on the overlap, and then sew from the opposite side forward, having this aligned with the lower strap and going around. You will create some excess fabric up top here with the elastic, maybe also on this side, but it's no problem, you can easily trim it off, and as said before, you will always bind the edges anyways, so no matter how funky this looks, you will always put some edging or some binding over it, so it will clean it up nicely. Next part, before we do the binding actually, it'll be redo those two pockets on the other strap side, and you will also want to add a little bit of shock cord in this lower corner, because this will enable you to carry your trekking poles up front. And I'm gonna just get this done. It's pretty similar to how we did it like here. Just use a shorter length of shock cord, somewhere around 15 centimeters. Put a little knot on it and sew it onto the edge, right on the tipping point right here. All right, and since we've pretty much completed the pockets and all the tiny bits on the vest, we then will continue with binding the whole thing, so stay tuned for that. Okay, so in case you want to add fastening system for the side of your running style vest, it's pretty easy to add. Simply sew on a little bit of 10mm cordage or tape onto the back part and add a simple little ladder lock adjustment system, and yeah, that's that. So you can easily tighten it, cinch it down, and as I mentioned before, it's really nicely hidden below the overhang of the lower pocket. Okay guys, so we're on to the next step, and this one is the edge binding. So basically you get yourself some binding tape. I personally like to use the elastic one because it is a little bit softer in general and more forgiving, because you do have quite a lot of edges and curves in the design, and the elastic makes it somewhat easier in my opinion. And you just follow the edge with your binding tape. And I, for one, do like to use a straight stitch for the most close border or most close part of the binding tape, and a zigzag stitch in order to have like every single part of the tape fixed to the carrying system. Because as you can see here, I didn't actually get all of the lower tape with my top stitch, and that's why I have the zigzag to cinch it down a bit tighter. A thing I also do is bar tack the points that have the highest stress. So as you can see here, where there is the elastic from the bottle pocket, I always do another bar tack stitch up top in order to really hunker it down and just get that extra strength in this portion. Also right here. So this way you just go all around every part, and except obviously the top one, which will go into the backpack itself later. But you will also bind the lower part, and yeah, that's what you're gonna do next. Okay guys, so you finished edge binding your whole vest strap system, and now the next part is adding your chest strap options. So like this leather style strap on top, and to do this you get yourself your 10mm strap, and I personally like to start just where the lower portion of your bottle pocket connects to your chest strap, and start there, and always to make it more neat, just flip over the top part before bar tacking it. So flipping over the top part, bar tacking all the way down till you've reached your shock cord, which we added for your pole carrying option. And then there you always flip over the lower portion of your strap and bar tag that one. And those distances you do are approximately, there we go, 2 centimeters, which will fit your sternum strap buckles perfect. So this is the perfect distance for sternum strap buckles, and so we go with 2 centimeters each all the way from top to bottom. You might even start lower than this, but I personally like the option to go as high as this. Okay, so another part you want to make is the chest strap itself, and that's actually pretty tricky sometimes, because for me personally I want to have a little bit of elastic included, because I want to have this part stretching whilst cinching it down, and that's why I choose to put a little bit of elastic and then a little bit of the fixed tape together in the chest strap part itself, and then we'll just simply get it through the buckle and put another end tab on there. So that's everything you need to do, but as I mentioned, connecting these two parts in a neat way may be a bit tricky. If you want to make it easier for you, you can just use the inelastic and material and just sew it together like that. Okay guys, so we've made a little jump. The next thing you want to do once you've finished your running vest style harness or your shoulder straps, however way you want to do them, is to sew them onto the back panel of the pack. So just sew them on to the lower parts of the back and the upper part, of course. And then what you want to do is sew on the top part of the back panel, also the wrong way down, so it's nice and neat. And then you want to get it all together. So you want to sew the back part with your harness and the shoulder part onto your prepared front part, basically, starting from the middle of the bottom, sewing it all up along the edges until you are round. And I'm personally gonna go over it twice just to make it more secure. And then you're nearly done. So now it's all to some finishing touches, hemming the edge over here to make it look neat and nice, and that's basically close to finished. Okay guys, so to finish the top, what you want to do is fold over the edge with your closure system, in my case the Velcro Omni tape, stitch over the top portion to get it all fixed, and then continue stitching over the lower portion in order to make it really nice and neat. Take your time to have a really nice stitch line, and then that's done. Okay guys, and so that's how you build your own Montmolar FastPack, basically, or any type of pack in that matter. I hope you did enjoy it. I hope you did learn something and start making your own packs now. And other than that, stay tuned for some more videos and see you then. Bye.